hang with me on this. This is where my promise is fulfilled. Manipulating and convincing versus effortlessly closing. Okay. When we create this safe environment, that's an honest environment, people have the room and we understand their buying process. Managing somebody's state and our own state is not so that we can get them, have a higher likelihood to get them to do what we want them to do. That is manipulation. The purpose of using this tool, this powerful tool, is to bring them to a comfortable place to where they have a decision in front of them that could very well impact the very trajectory of not only their life, but the lives around them. But if they're nervous, scared, they can't process properly, they'll shut it down and miss it. And that is your fault as a sales professional. Today, we're going to be talking about, I like to talk about one thing because it's easy for my brain to remember. We're talking about the buying process. The buying process. This is by far my favorite part of sales. It is the buying process. This is a specific part in the entire sales process. You want to use it in a specific area of the sales journey. If you use it in another part of the journey, it all falls apart. Additionally, when you use it in the right area, there's a way that it's used about 95% of the time, which is awful. And then there's a proper way to do this. And if you're one of the 5% or the 1% that does it properly, it'll change your life. You'll have way more fun, and you could do sales calls all day, and at the end of the day, not feel drained, because you'll find yourself no longer convincing people, manipulating people, which is not only annoying on the other side, but is completely draining for the person that has to expend the energy to convince somebody. It sucks. The buying process done properly is actually fun and energy filling. This is what we're going to get into today. So I first want to identify, when do we talk about it? Well, simply put, the buyer's journey, there's I like to see at least 5 stages, but to keep it simple today, the awareness stage, the consideration stage, and the decision stage. Last week, Sean did a great job going through off-script messaging and where that fits in the pipeline. That's the consideration stage. That's the back and forth, nurturing the relationship. Today, we're talking about the decision stage and kind of a little series that we're doing. On a pipeline in FlowChat, it's around this section of the pipeline. When you've booked the call, this is for most pipelines, right? When we're getting closer to that decision stage or having that sales conversation, this conversation could take place in chat. It might take place on a webinar. It might take place on a one-on-one or group call. But either way, this is the type of, this is the point in the sales process that we're talking about. Is that clear on where we're at for when to use the buying process? Okay, so let's talk about how to not do this. Usually it's like, oh, yeah. The buying process, when it comes to decision, like, well, we got to talk to the decision maker. Are you the decision maker? If you don't get the decision maker on the call, you're never going to close the deal. So everyone hyper focuses on the decision maker, and you can smell it a mile away. It's like, okay, I'm a good closer because I just get the decision maker. I don't know if you guys have had those experiences. I've heard different people talk through sales, and it's like, oh my gosh, like there's so many parts that we're missing. And part of the problem is that's only one piece of the pie. That's only one part of the actual whole buying process. I'm going to walk us through this together today, actually, so we can experience for ourselves. So you're like, oh, not only do I intellectually understand it, but I emotionally get it, because all of us here have bought into all kinds of programs and trainings and the like, right? So what's much more powerful is evaluating the whole process. And we're going to break this down into 2 parts: logic and emotion. And we're going to start with logic. Logic is pretty simple. There's 6 elements, right? The who, the what, the how, where, when, and why. These are the 6 different elements of the buying process or the decision-making process. So in a sales context, it's who besides yourself is involved in the decision-making process. Just because I'm kind of like shooting down like, oh, the decision maker part, it doesn't mean that it's still a part of the equation. You still want to ask and be aware of that, right? But let's go beyond just the surface level and the first level. The second one is what? So what is the typical process you go through when making a decision like this? This is such a powerful question. Oh, well, typically I talk to my spouse, or I go talk to some of my other fellow entrepreneur friends, or I go talk to the board, or, it's like, what is the typical process that you're going through? You're letting people kind of think through that and say it out loud. I'm sure you can relate to this. If part of the game in sales is reducing as much friction to making a decision as possible, yes? Everyone agrees with that and knows that, but doesn't always know how to create that. And so when it comes to the buying process and decision-making process, if we're asking them to buy at the end of the week, but they're used to making decisions at the beginning of the week, why not just do it in the beginning of the week? I know it's a very simple example, but it's understanding, oh, well, I typically feel more comfortable and do it here. Just ask and listen and say, oh my gosh, that's exactly how we do it. Oh, well, this is easy then. Great. Sounds like this is a great fit. Funny how things work, And then it's just faster, right? It's speed. Okay, let's talk about how. How is the decision actually made? Oh, do you like Sean does a good job? I'm the sleeper guy. I'm one of the more challenging, unfortunate personalities to sell to. I would hate to sell to me. And I know that because I constantly selling myself on different ideas and I know how much work it takes. So I'm the sleep on it guy, generally. And so some other people might do that too. Some people, they want to get out of the way. They're trying to make a decision. Don't hold them back. How do you make, how's the decision actually made? Oh, when it feels right, I just pull the trigger. All right, well, here's next, like, don't talk about stuff, give them next step. Next step, here's the link. Next step, we'll schedule your onboarding call, and then we're done. Great, thanks. And those are like the 10 to 17 minute calls, right? So if their buying process is fast, do not be slow. And I know that might sound silly, but some of us we lose and kill a lot of sales because of that. All right, let's talk about where. Where are decisions like this made within your organization? Yes, this can mean department. This might actually physically mean a certain room. Well, on Tuesdays, we go to this room and we have these type of conversations. There's a mentality of, well, this is where we come together and decide things. If that's like already a state that's created, you want to tap into that because it'll be easier that makes it easier for them to decide on the conversation we're having, right? So I know these sound very practical and logical, and that's because we're in the logic section. Next is when, and we're almost, yeah, let's see, we got a couple more here. Okay, so when do decisions like this occur? Again, sometimes there's certain days or certain, first half of the day, second half of the day, certain part of the month, quarterly, if there's, Natasha, more corporate environment, there's quarterly or annual budgeting. When do decisions like this occur? It's important to know. If you're trying to close something that people, the annual budget's approved for like the next year, and you're into, the second month of quarter one the following year, you're late. You needed to do that back in the end of Q4 when it was approved and you're first in line. Like, knowing when really makes a difference. Okay, why? Why are decisions made this way? Sometimes you'll hear what they say and then you say, just curious, like, why do you guys do it that way? Oh, well, because this person, we have this extra investor and this happens, and well, their personality operates this way and thinks this way, and collectively this is how it just works the best. Good to know. Thank you. So like, take a screenshot. These questions can just be used as is in a sales conversation. If you can hit all of them, great. If you only use 2 to 4 of them, it's still going to work fantastic. This is when you're in the decision stage where they understand their problem, they know how you solve it, and they're now working to make a decision. Using these questions in that time of the sales journey can drastically increase not only the amount of yeses you get, but the speed of which you get those yeses. But these aren't always the most intuitive questions to really spend time on the buying process to understand the person. Okay, these are all very logical and sometimes can flow great in a sales conversation, but there is another way. there's a way to where you can actually get all of these answered without asking any of the questions and accessing any of the logic. And that's done through emotion. And this one is oftentimes way more powerful. So why this is a lot more powerful is it's establishing the right state. Simply put, have you ever experienced those times where you're just in flow? It's just that day. You're on. The checklist is getting obliterated and you're going to take on the world. It doesn't matter. And the reality is you're really just that kid with goggles on, but inside you feel like freaking Rambo, just killing the game. Ain't nobody getting in my way. This is going down, right? You're in flow. You're in state, right? It's easier to make decisions. Your brain's working. So this state is very, very powerful. And so simply what we're doing with emotions, this done properly, is we want to recall a positive buying experience, and then we're going to anchor it to the present decision that we're discussing with our future client. You guys with me on that? So what does this look like? For example, if we're selling a high ticket program, and we've all like bought or been there, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm starting to get nervous. What if I look like an idiot for doing this? What if I lose all my money? Holy crap, am I crazy? Like, what's going on? This is a horrible buying state, okay? If we're nervous, scared, confused, like ain't nobody buying anything. And even if we do, we're already kind of set up to lose from the beginning, right? Because at some point we still got to get past that. It's like if we said yes in that state, so we've almost anchored that feeling every step of the way in that whole program. And that might seem, again, like simple, but we're not just listening to what people say, we're reading and empathizing and feeling the emotion that they're going through too. Okay. So we want to recall that positive buying experience. We want to anchor it to the current decision that we're doing. Let me share a quick story with you to really drive this home. On Saturday, March 24th, 2018, this was one of the most nerve-wracking days for me. And I could tell you about it, but I figure it might be more entertaining to have beardless past Chris tell us all about it, because I recorded part of the moment before I made this nerve-wracking decision. Let me share sound here. Hopefully this works great. Give me just a thumbs up to make sure that when this starts playing, you can hear it.
About to make the biggest purchase I've ever made at one point. Biggest investment I've made so far in my life. See this right here? It's an order form for the double comma X Club. 18 grand. And the full mission is to build not just a $1 million, but a $10 million company. Here we go.
So that's a part of it. Yeah, you can feel it, right? So we're recalling that past, in this case, fortunate, positive buying experience where it's crazy. And that was up front. 18 grand, boom, gone. I'm the sole provider for my family, and had 2 kids at that point. Third one hadn't come yet. And so it's kind of like, if I screwed this up, I couldn't screw it up. If you know what I mean. Fortunately, that led to all kinds of things, relationships and knowledge and experiences that I didn't even know that I'd get to have, or that was available or possible. One of which was building, still to this day, the best and strongest business partnership and friendship that I have with Sean and Mel. At this moment, after making that decision, I also didn't know that a year later, we would, I can't remember where this one was. This in Nashville or is this Florida? We would be on stage.
Your sound's off, by the way.
Yeah, I kept the sound off on this one just to thanks for the heads up, just to talk through on this one. But there's Sean, his lovely wife, Mel. And we're on stage. This is Friday, February 22nd, 2019. So just under a year later, we launched our software company. It was a year. We were 12 months into our first software company, and in 10 months into that year, we did $1 million in sales on the front end, and like collected cash. Apparently, 2 Comma Club award, or as I stated earlier, double Comma Club, is not everyone. Anyway, whatever. It was collected cash over $1 million in 10 months. So we got to go on stage and do that. So when we're having this conversation, what I wanted to do with you is personally do it myself. I recalled a positive buying experience and how I felt in the moment, right? Because this is important. In this moment, we're talking to our future client. They're nervous and scared. They're the first video, right? And so we want to share it. Oh, that reminds me of, you're recalling a time where you also felt that way. And then walking through, where it went and where it led. It's powerful to share a personal story. It's even more powerful if you ask them to recall a positive buying experience, because you don't have to explain and they don't have to learn and hear your story. They can recall the emotions that have already been created for themselves, right? If they say it, it's true. So this being said, let's cover a couple takeaways for today. Simply put, we're talking about the buying process, and we're talking about the decision stage within the sales cycle. So I today, or if you haven't already, while we were just reliving one of mine and ours, relive a personal positive buying experience that is equivalent to the offer you are selling. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple more details here in these takeaways. So hang with me on this, because this is what makes it really, really powerful. The more that you're able, the importance for you reliving your own positive buying experience, and I'm sure for all of you, it's buying FlowChat. It's okay. It's okay. I know. I just, I figured. When you're recalling that experience, it allows you to access those emotions and the feeling and actually get you in state. And when you're in that state, it makes it that much easier to lead people to that state. So set your state and ask questions and let people have the space to relive that for themselves. You see what I'm saying? And so that's why that first part's really powerful. If you can get that buying experience as an example, high ticket was the thing. So I shared a story about when I made a high ticket purchase. You see? If you're selling a $1,500 or $2,500 or $5,000 per month offer, your story probably is going to equal the same amount of money the time that you purchase the thing. And we've told people this before, what's the best way to help with the sales process? Go buy the same dollar amount and like a similar service that you're asking somebody else to purchase. That is one of the best teachers of how to sell that thing. Man, I really want to learn how to sell a $100,000 package. Go buy one. That'll be your best teacher, because you get to, yeah, Susanna's like, oh, yeah. But if you buy one, you're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get the funds? And do I do payments, or what am I actually getting for my money? All those real questions are what's going on in the mind of your future client. As soon as you can communicate and connect with the person at both the logical and emotional level, when they're walking through that, they will feel heard, understood, because they are. And how you can serve and communicate with them is next level. So the second piece is on your next sales call, ask your future client about a past positive buying experience. Take a screenshot. I provided some questions. And Sean, yes, I did put purchases in there instead of investment, but it's to draw a contrast. And so what's one of the best purchases you've ever made? What's one of the most fun purchases you've ever made? This can be just that one simple emotional question, and they'll think of it. Oh, maybe it was buying that, truck, or maybe, oh, that was cool. Did you see, was it love at first sight and you just bought it right away? Oh, no. I definitely had to go talk to my wife first, and then I did it. You see where we're going? We're getting into their buying process with the estate and association that it was one of the most beneficial investments I've ever made, or one of the most impactful investments I've ever made. The state is proper, and then they're going through it. We're learning their buying process as they're telling the story, filled with energy, not logically having to like, oh, let's see, I just can't think of anything right now. No. What was the most fun, impactful thing you've ever done? Oh, it was this. Oh yeah, and then I felt this and da, and it was great. You're listening and learning their whole buying process. And we already know that it's roughly around the same amount of what we're about to anchor it to. You guys with me on this? Okay. The last thing that I want to share and give you guys with as it pertains to the buying process, has this been helpful in terms of sales? What I'm describing to you is how to communicate with other humans in this particular context. I don't care if it's DM, I don't care if it's phone call or mail carrier pigeon. It's what's created from the heart's felt by the heart. And these things apply. Words that sell is copywriting, and it takes many different forms. But this is just, I'm giving you experiences and methods that we've developed over the years. This one's a personal one for me. My personal connection to sales is I know it to be one of the number one life skill, because it is the language and the skill of connecting and communicating with others. And the hardest person on planet Earth to sell is ourselves. And so is there a lack of information? Is there a lack of information to have the six pack and be ripped and in great shape and have all the money no, like all the principles and wisdom's all out there. The challenge is getting ourselves to actually decide and take action and commit to doing the thing. Others have the same challenge. Sales is this place where, my opinion, my approach to sales as a sales professional, very few people have other people in their life that will listen in a judge-free environment and reflect. They'll be that mirror. You create this space that's honest, and let them have the space where they can be, have a clear mind to honestly decide if this is the right decision for them or not the right decision for them. Hang with me on this. This is where my promise is fulfilled. Manipulating and convincing versus effortlessly closing. Okay. When we create this safe environment that's an honest environment, people have the room and we understand their buying process. Managing somebody's state and our own state is not so that we can get them, have a higher likelihood to get them to do what we want them to do. That is manipulation. The purpose of using this tool, this powerful tool, is to bring them to a comfortable place to where they have a decision in front of them that could very well impact the very trajectory of not only their life, but the lives around them. But if they're nervous, scared, they can't process properly, they'll shut it down and miss it. And that is your fault as a sales professional. So we create the safe environment, and they're able to actually have somebody listen and say, well, what about this? Or have you thought about that? And they're like, oh, you'll find them start fighting for the sale or confirming that it's actually not the right time and not the right offer, solving the wrong pain. I'm glad we discovered that together today now before we did this interaction together or transaction. You guys with me on this? I started out like, if I don't figure this out, I don't eat. And what I found was people don't care. Not necessarily in a bad way, but listening, practicing empathy, and creatively solving problems for other people, I found to be the most powerful elements of sales. It is an act of service. And so when it comes to the buying process, having people relive stories, keeping them in a safe, honest, comfortable space allows them to have a clear mind and make a really powerful decision for themselves. That might be a yes, that also might be a no. And if you keep both of those on the table, it'll remove all that sales commission breath and tension and pressure that's completely unnecessary and not needed, and make it like an actual exciting thing. Because when it's the right person, they say yes, they move forward, and they build the companies and they build the partnerships, and everything explodes. So that's my take on the buying process.